Welcome to Motivate You, the Winner Circle, here on thisis50.com. I am your host, June Archer. Today, my guest needs no introduction. She is an R&B singer, songwriter, television host, and now executive producer doing documentaries. She and I are going to have some fun, and I'm going to surprise her with a couple of things. Oh my God, it is such an honor and a pleasure. Please welcome Syleena Johnson to the show. Syleena, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed and highly favored.
And you know that's right. We woke up
Okay.
this morning. We
Hello,
woke up
somebody.
this.
Hello. Okay. That was half the battle. Okay. The rest, 50% is showing up. 50% is a dog.
Listen,
Other 50 is a dog fight.
and when you get in that dog fight, the mentality is I woke up, so I got to go get it.
I gotta get it every day.
Listen, you are one of our favorites when it comes to this thing called R&B music, and you talk about heartfelt music, songwriters, performers. I'm talking about Syleena Johnson gets busy. You've been doing this some time now. What keeps you motivated to continue to go get it? Because you got this new album out. We're gonna talk about that. But I want to know what keeps you motivated after all these years to continue to bring music into our lives and into our car stereos and our at home. Like, what keeps you going?
Well, as far as music is concerned, it's hard to stay motivated industry wise. You know,
Hmm.
just simply because of the political from the political standpoint, like the music business. That's hard to stay motivated in because it can be, it has its ups and downs. It's not always pleasant, and most of the time it's a fool. It gets on your nerves. So it's hard to stay motivated as far as business in terms of business and the business aspect of it. But as far as in terms of the music aspect, it's not very difficult to stay motivated, and primarily because once you understand what your purpose here is on this earth, then you just do what's natural for you. So singing is a natural gift that was given to me by God. It wasn't something that I learned to do. It was something that was given to me as a gift by God. So, and as any natural being, as we get up and we eat, we have the urge to eat, we have the urge to sleep, like natural things. Singing is natural for me. Excuse me. So therefore, I don't have to be motivated to do it because it's going to come naturally. Um, I just think, yeah. So I think it's not really hard to be especially since you know what you're doing it for.
Hmm.
I know that my purpose and passion is to heal and is to make people feel good and to get mainly black women or women period, get them through their thing by telling stories and using my personal stories as testimonies to be able to relate to women. I feel like that is why God created me. I feel like my vocals are the vehicle, but the words that I write are the message. So to stay motivated to do that, as long as women need that kind of encouragement, and that's forever until we dead. As long as people need encouragement, because men are motivated through for my music as well. So as long as people are motivated through my work, I'm always going to be motivated to provide it. The industry side, however, makes it difficult because it's almost like I'll use working out and going to the gym. Nobody really feels like getting up and going and working out all the time. Like that's not something you just run around. Now every now and again you might be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna turn up. You have some motivation, but the end result, is what keeps you motivated. The fact that you want to
Right.
lose weight, the fact that you want to stay healthy, those elements. But the actual act of it and the X's and O's, the dieting, the meal prepping, the supplementation, all of those little X's and O's, though that little minutia is less motivating. That stuff is harder to navigate through. But the end result, what you see afterwards, how you feel after a workout, those things you don't need to be motivated by. You know what I'm saying? Because those are
Right.
the rewards. You know what I'm saying? So because people and what they get from my music are the reward, I don't have to be motivated to sing to them. I just have to be motivated to get through the minutia to get to the point where I can sing for them. You understand what
All
I'm
right.
saying?
No, I understand it totally.
Okay.
I want to play to this point though, because people will watch and they'll listen right now and they say, okay, Celine, your gifted song, that's your purpose, and your passion follows that because you have that. But how do I find my purpose? How do I find what I'm passionate about? What can you tell that person?
Well, if it does not leave you, okay, so let me break that down. There have been times because of the minutia and difficulties of the music business that have demotivated me, the music business. There have been times where I've wanted to give up, where I've wanted to, well, maybe I should do this, well, maybe I should do that, where I've had those moments, right? But because it is not my choice, because I was created to do this, literally created to do this, um, it will never leave me. It will always be an opportunity. God will always provide situations where you will have to use his gift. He will always provide those situations. Now, uh, in that same respect, you have to be open and listening and in alignment with God in order to understand what your true purpose is. So let's say, you run around doing stuff, you're doing all these different things, you got your hand on all these different things, but if you're not open to him first and getting direction from him first, you're going to constantly just be doing stuff. You have to know what is standing out the most. You have to pay
Mm,
attention to what God is trying to tell you the most. He's going to tell you, he's going to make it very plain and clear. A lot of times we'll ignore it because maybe it's not financially rewarding. Maybe we're afraid that we're not going to succeed in it. Maybe we don't believe. We don't listen as much as we should because of the lack of faith.
mm,
And and the lack of discernment and not understanding who the Holy Spirit is and what it is inside of you. Okay, so for me, and then I saw this was one thing that confirmed it, and it's confirming what I'm saying. So I saw Denzel Washington. He was talking to a bunch of students, and he said the way that you know if God if God wants you to do something is if it's burning in your stomach all the time and it never leaves. He said if you always have the urge to do it and it's burning in your stomach, then that's confirmation from God that that's what you're supposed to be doing. And when it's confirmation from God, you will start to see all the things. As soon as you take a step towards it, all these things will start falling into place. But you ever been in a predicament where you try to force doing something that's really not for you, and then
yeah,
it's real hard all the time, and it never ever, and then you'll start to believe, oh well, you got to keep fighting, and you got to keep, you'll start to, you know, align the story of Job, make that synonymous to your situation when might not be the case. When it might be that you're walking down the wrong path to get to the right destination. You know what I'm saying?
right. Because
Or vice versa. You're going down the wrong path in your life. You're not walking in the purpose of what you're supposed to be walking in. You're going to get to that destination at some point, but you're just going the wrong way right now. You're just going off course. So you know how when you have directions and you know you're going somewhere wrong, and you be like, this ain't what it looked like last time. This ain't, this I know I'm going the wrong way. You'll feel like that, as far as your purpose and passion is concerned.
right, you're gonna get there. It may take you longer because
It's
once you
gonna take you
realize,
longer.
right, because sometimes we're worried about, well, I don't know if this is the right thing because you worry about what other people think, or you're looking at
Hmm.
somebody else's journey. You're like, well, how could, well, Syleena did it, so how can I? Well, that's for Syleena. That's not for you. He may have something different for you, and if he has the same thing, he has a different way for you to actually get there and receive it. And
Exactly.
sometimes I'll talk about this just yesterday, Syleena. Sometimes you are just a conduit. The blessing is not even for you; it's for somebody else in that moment, and you have
Hmm.
to realize that as well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that. I want to talk about. I'm excited about this documentary now
Hmm.
that you the makings of a woman.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind that?
Women. Point
Mm,
blank, plain and simple. Women and
simple.
their stories. Women and their stories. And, because my life is so full, you know, talk show host, recording artist, fitness competitor, mom, wife, nutrition science person, nutritionist, yoga instructor, because I wear so many hats and I have so many different components, it makes sense for me to document my journey because at some point a lot of women will be able to relate to some piece in that story. I can hit so many women because I do so many things. It can benefit so many women to see, or to be encouraged or inspired or empowered. um, Being a talk show host on Sister Circle put me in a different mindset. It gave me different eyes, a different set of eyes. As an artist for all these years, you're on one side of the couch. But then
Right.
when you are an interviewer, you're on the other side of that couch. And when you're on the other side of that couch, there's a certain amount of research that has to take place before you can, do your job. In order for you to do your job effectively, it's called journalism, right? But I'm a recording artist, so I've never been a journalist. But then now I have to turn it into a journalist, even though part of this job is because I'm a personality. You feel me? But you still have to do your due diligence, and being that I'm a college graduate, you gotta do your research, right? So in having to do so much research, I learned so much about things that I wasn't even checking for about
Mhm.
myself as a woman. You know what I'm saying? Just about things that I have to, I that are affecting me that I wasn't even checking for. And I know there's a lot of people in the world that be like, heck, especially like with this election, there's so much that you're learning that you probably weren't even checking for, but because our president is so bananas, he makes you have to go check for everything because he
Yep.
lies so much. So you have to do so much fact checking all the time, and then you learn so much, which is a great thing. That's the best thing he's ever done. That's the best thing he did for this country. He made people really get educated and made people vote. He's so terrible, he made everybody go vote.
Right. Facts.
So,
Super
like,
facts.
he's so terrible. 80 million people didn't vote, and the day ain't even came yet. So that's how you know he getting ready to lose real good. But so I had to do all this type of research. Things like, the Equal Pay Act. I didn't know that there was an Equal Pay Act that states that we were all supposed to get equal pay. Women were supposed to get the same pay as men, but we're still not getting it. Or,
Right.
having to be very in tune with the Me Too Times Up movement because I have to report on these things. I have to talk about these things. Um, Learning about trafficking and how prominent it is and how it's a $1 billion industry. Young girls being sold into trafficking is making billions of dollars. A fool. Um, and then just having to report on different issues and dealings with black men. Okay, well, if black men are getting shot down like dogs, guess who's sad too? Black mothers. You know, Obesity in the African American community, which is something I was already um, privy to from college because my major was nutrition science, but still having to see it roll out in front of my very own eyes and how it's affecting our community and healthcare. Black women not getting the adequate help that they need, not health, but the adequate attention that they need at the doctor's office. Black women being number one in stillbirths. Um, so and dying in pregnancy. And then there's no one knows why. So there are so many things that have affected women that I had to research. I said, I just want the entire album to be called Woman. And from there, I'm going to document the entire process because I don't think people understand what we really go through and what we're dealing with on a day to day basis as moms, entrepreneurs, business women, um, you know, wives, caregivers. Some of us are caregivers. Some of us are taking care of our parents, and different things of that nature. So, and taking care of children with special needs. I have a son who has special needs. So there, and then it just goes across the gamut. So many elements, so many layers to women. You know what I'm saying? So I called it the making of a woman, meaning this is what it takes in order for me to survive and function on a day-to-day basis. Look at all this stuff we have to deal with and go through because it's one thing where we're sitting up here constantly having to tell folks all the time, we're doing this, we're going through that, these are our issues. Hello, somebody, listen, pay attention. Hey, we need this for our kids. Hey, we need this for this, that, our husbands, our wives, our lives, our families. It's one thing to say it, but it hits different when you're
Mm.
actually looking at it and sitting there watching the documentary of a woman. Like we have to create a document. The fact that we have to create a documentary of a woman for people to actually understand. And not just men, but women too, to connect with themselves. Because what we will do is go and go and go and go and not even sit back and understand how much pressure we're dealing with as it's affecting our body, our mind, our families, our friendships, everything. So it's also a documentary for us to look at ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And more importantly, to look at ourselves so that we can make decisions on how we can change ourselves, be empowered, inspired, and motivated to do better in our own lives so that we can be better wives, better sisters, better friends, better mothers, better business women. You know what I'm saying? So um, basically to inspire, empower, and motivate, but it stemmed from being on that other side of the couch and getting the cheat sheet to what's really going on out here in this world, when it
Right.
as it pertains to women.
Do you find that in doing this documentary and watching what we have been putting on television, what we've been producing, and I'm saying this as a culture, that we should take a little more responsibility for the role models that we actually put on television and how we portray our black women, because our young women are looking at, and not trying to block anybody's blessing. And I know we have plenty of friends out there that are doing the Love and Hip Hops and uh, all these other shows, but do we owe ourselves a responsibility to the culture to kind of put our best foot forward? And there are many aspects of this culture, but do you feel like putting positive role models in these shows and in these movies is more important moving forward, especially after this president has been in office?
um Absolutely, absolutely is the answer. Monkey see, monkey do.
Hmm.
It's pretty much that simple. However, the difficult part is, how do you tell families who are chosen for these reality shows turn down XYZ amount of dollars when there's no food on their table, right? So I'm out of line for telling someone that they shouldn't make the choice to be on a platform to make a certain amount of money for survival.
Right. Or to change
Let
their lives.
To change their lives. Take Cardi B for example. Cardi B came onto the Love and Hip Hop platform, and she started out like she did. She was a stripper or whatever. She was big personality. I actually like Cardi B on her Love and Hip Hop. I thought she was funny, but she changed that. She flipped the script and became a
Right.
huge mega star. And now, even in her feistiness and bananasness, she's still, in my opinion, she's an activist now. You know what I'm saying? And she still exudes the strength, not strength, but the confidence of being a woman. Even in the WAP song, people say, "Oh, that's terrible," and this, that, that. Well, what's wrong with women loving on and loving them their own bodies? Men do it all the time. Don't nobody say nothing to them. They talk real terrible, real ridiculous, and nobody says anything. But when a woman talks about her body and her stuff being the bomb, she's terrible and she all of that. Even though she's married, regardless of what their marriage is, she's married and has a child. You know what I'm saying? She's a mother. People will still judge her, based on that, just because she's a woman, because of what we view women in this world's roles should be, because of that embedded role of what women should be. Even though times have changed and we've
Right.
had to roll with the times on other stuff, but in those instances, we have to stay the same. So that's not fair. But I do think that we should try, and I think the production companies, I know that's my goal, to try and put out content for young women and young men to be able to learn from and be educated from and be empowered and heal and enlighten from, because our people need healing. We black people are in a state of PTSD that they don't even know is happening. First of all, from slavery. We're still suffering from PTSD from slavery because we still talk about it. We still having a bad time about it. It's still affecting us. Slavery and racism is still very prominent in America, in a place that we didn't even ask to come to. So we're
Right.
still dealing with PTSD straight away as a black family. Okay, as a black person in America, there's a certain amount of anxiety that is automatic from the time you were born. Then fast forward to this presidency, which brought out all the reasons why we still have PTSD and put it in our faces. So now we really got PTSD from not only that, but now a pandemic, you know what I'm saying? And all the drama that that's brought and social injustices. So what's more important to me, in my own personal opinion, which does not beget anyone else's opinion, because everybody's got them, is that we should be more careful. We should be more careful when it comes to who we are and what we're projecting in this world, on social media, as far as entertainers and as far as public figures, because our kids are watching. And I don't mean that figuratively. They're watching on their phones. They really watching. Like they have they when we was kids, we didn't have that. So you could be Buck Wild, you could be Luke, you know what I'm saying? You could be bananas, on TV and all of that, and we could just turn TV off. They don't get to watch it. Plus, we was outside playing anyway, so we didn't hear about all that.
Right.
But now the kids are right on the phone. My son be knowing about everything before I do, because everything is everywhere. It's so much access to it. So we really have to try and infuse healing into our content, because that's number one, healing, in hopes to heal our people straight away. Our people need healing, especially our black men. Especially our
Yeah,
black men. I won't even get into black. I mean, don't even get me started on black men, because
that's
we
a
they
that's a whole other
oh
conversation.
my God, they need
But
healing so bad. And let me just say this. I know there's a big black women, protect black women out there. But hey, guess what? Black women are the most disrespected humans on the face of this earth, but black men are the most feared humans on the face of this earth.
and
And
when you
we,
put that together, and when
my
you put
God,
that
today,
together,
good night. They're the most feared. So they have a target on their backs when they're born. And they have also developed a, I believe this is just what I, when I think of my brothers, you all have developed a it is an energy that comes from trauma. It is an energy that comes from trauma, but you cannot um, fall into it or play into it, because it appears to be weakness. And what men are not taught to do properly throughout our families is they're not taught to emote. They're not taught to have feelings. To have feelings and to feel is weak. That's what they're taught. So now they have to bottle up inside the fact that they're America's most wanted. You know what I'm saying? Out the gate, and then try to take care of families, try to protect themselves, try to protect their women, try to protect their children, knowing that the system is designed for them to fail. And they have to try to fight through that. So there's trauma there. You see what I'm saying? So we need healing. And black women, you already know, our trauma come from y'all trauma. We was all chained on the boats together. So there's healing that needs to happen in general. And I do believe that our content needs to shift so that we can get it from there, as well as therapy, our families and friends, doing the work on our own. At some point, black people need to be responsible for each other. I know that
right?
we don't want to do that. People want to say, well, that's on them, this person, that's on that. That's fine. You got to take care of you first, but we also have to take care of each other. We almost have to integrate again mentally so that we can move forward successfully.
No, and I appreciate you, Shannon. And I feel like giving those platforms, like we mentioned with Cardi B, and taking the responsibility to make that shift and use it for the better, I think that is amazing. I think she is going to continue to do that, and I hope that other people of color, men and women, do that moving forward. I want to talk about, because I found this to be amazing, and I want to ask, during your time in quarantine, uh, right before that, you and your husband were on marriage boot camp. Was there anything that you took from that show that you have implemented that has helped you both and your family during this time of just being able to spend time at home and not going out and being safe?
Well, because I'm so busy and my husband is very busy, we and we're I don't know, my me and my husband, we are the perfect match because he's like he's like he's like water. I'm like a hot sauce. You know, I don't know what I just, he's just very calm about a lot of stuff. He's just very calm, very chill, very nonchalant. I find strength in that because I'm oh my god, we're gonna die. Oh my god, I'm anxiety all over the place. Where he's very calm. He's my yin. I'm the yin. He's the yang. So marriage boot camp came at a time where we really needed it because um, me being busy and him going through retirement as an ex, NBA and EuroLeague basketball player was very difficult for him. Take a man who has played basketball his entire life, and that has been the joy of his life, his responsibility, his career, his job. He's played at every single level, and then you're retired, it's gone. So even Gabrielle Union talked about this with Dwayne Wade. They went to he had to go to therapy. You know what I'm saying? My husband had to go to therapy, he had to go through different things because their entire life, even though they have degrees in college, their entire life is built around that sport. You know, and not to say that that's a bad thing because it is a job. If I was a teacher for 20 something years and then I retired, well, I'd still be looking around feeling the need to teach because that's my purpose. That's why God created me. So God created him to entertain through sports and fitness. There's so many things that you can learn being an athlete, from discipline to teamwork to perseverance. The list goes on and on. I hate when people try to diminish or downplay athletes. Athletes are some of the most intelligent humans on the face of this earth. It takes great, great, great tact in order to be an athlete, especially at the levels that they're increasing at on a day to day, nowadays, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that that was taken away from him, my husband's played on every level. He's won championships and everything. He played Big Ten, went played for the USA team, went to Denver Nuggets, went overseas. He's played on all levels. So to have that taken away was tough. So I had to deal with, or we had to work through his retirement and how he dealt with that and how what was going to be his next move. And then me moving here with small babies from Chicago and going into R&B Divas, which was extremely stressful, and trying to film and make money and all of that, have albums and stuff. So we went into marriage boot camp because the romance was gone. There was no, everybody was just trying to, you know, fight to survive. But we were doing it separately in this under the same roof. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Um, so fast forward to now, we did learn some techniques, especially when it comes to romance. Sometimes you got to schedule your time to have romance because sometimes both of us be sleepy. On some old, we tried, but it didn't work out. How about Friday?
Them put the
Sometimes
kids,
we'll do that.
them put the kids to bed, made dinner,
Hey,
everything, cuddle
and
up,
be
and fell
sleep
asleep.
and be sleep. But the difference between now and then is before when it wasn't happening, my husband was taking it personally because, he was already dealing with I don't feel adequate enough because I'm not in my profession. You see what I'm saying? So if I fell asleep on him, that also looked like I'm not adequate enough, sexually anymore. You know what I'm saying? Um, but now it's different because he's found his way. He understands his purpose. He's now training children. He has AAU teams. He's doing so many things. His passion he has found is sports and fitness and children. He just has a gift with children. He's dope. And that's even better for me because we have two sons. You know what I'm saying? And he has an older son. So we have three boys. So it really helps him as a dad. Like this dude really should get a trophy for the best dad of the United States of America. I mean, sometimes I'd be like low key jealous, like you ain't gonna beat me. I'm a mother. I know I'm cold too. But he's like the best dad in the United States of America because of the path that he has chosen with children in sports. And so now when we were in the quarantine, it was almost like this is what we needed. We needed something to force us to be together because that's where we wanted to be anyway. Me and my husband are very much the same as far as that's concerned. We don't like going places. We don't like hanging out. we low key borderline don't like friends. Like we don't like being bothered. You got to force us to get out the house. We them type of people. We'll sit down. Me and my husband will sit down and watch the game and argue back and forth like friends. And then my son plays basketball too, so all three of us are in there arguing about basketball. Like that's like fun to me. Like this is a bad because I play basketball as well. So us being all together was what we wanted to do anyway. So the fact that we had to be brought us even closer, made my marriage, my family, my relationship with my kids so much better. It made everything better. And it really made me spoiled now to the point where I really don't want to go nowhere because I just want to be around them all day. I've
Right.
learned that they are super fun. Like they're everything to me. I don't have to go nowhere. I can sit right on in this house and go downstairs and watch TV with them and be just fine. So the quarantine, it definitely did that for me and my husband. And I think I'm grateful for it in that respect because it has strengthened my marriage. It has strengthened my family. And by making us have to not have to, but what we had to, but it's what we really wanted to do anyway, and couldn't because
And
of
couldn't.
our jobs and our lives.
This new album, Woman, is out. Amazing. It's the second time that you didn't slide it in as a chapter. And the first six chapters, we learned a lot over the years, and you've been a blessing to us. Why did you continue that trend for the second time, not creating it as a chapter?
Well, this was the first album that wasn't a chapter. So all the Selena Johnson like solo like my albums are
Yeah,
chapters. So
I thought
one
Rebirth of Soul was which I didn't.
that was a specialty album. So
Okay,
the
all right,
the Rebirth of Soul was remakes of greats from the
from the
50s and
first
60s,
six.
from the
Okay,
50s and 60s. And I did it with live instrumentation. I did it, co-produced it with my dad. We had all musicians from that era. It was a specialty album, just like the Nine Project, and just like with Music Soul Child, and just like Acoustic Soul Live, which is a specialty album as well. I did an album with my dad, which was a specialty album. So like my chapters are those are my releases. So one, two, three, four, five, and six are Selena Johnson chapter albums. Now before that, before I signed to Jive Records, I did an independent album called Love Hangover when I was like 18, 19 years old, and that's just something that my dad put out there before I got signed to Jive Records. So Woman would technically be chapter seven. But since
okay.
chapter seven equaled bankrupt, I was like, hell to the no. We're not naming anything chapter
No,
seven. We
no,
don't have
seven is a powerful number. I don't equate it to
mm-mm,
anything negative.
mm-mm. Chapter seven say bankrupt. So I said, you know what? Um, seven is the number of completion, actually. And
Yes,
and at the end of the day, I felt like that story, that segment of my life was complete. And I felt like as a talk show host, moving forward, into a person, moving forward as a person who has more than just a voice that sings, but a voice that speaks. I felt like it was time to move the content in a different direction. And from here on out, the titles will be one word.
mhm.
They won't be these long, dissertation storybook lines. It's just gonna be one word. That's my goal. I change my mind all the time, but I want every album from here on out to be one word. And Woman was the first of this new segment, this new era, if you will, of my life.
For those who are going through something right now, whether it's COVID, whether they can't pay their rent, trying to go back to school, can't find the money, what would be that one word that you can share with us that will inspire them to see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Man, that's tough. It has to be one word.
Well, seeing that we're going with this one word theme, I'm going to
It's
put you
one
on the
word.
spot. Give
Oh,
me
that's
one word.
terrible. Okay. Um, resilience.
Mm.
Um,
Nice. Nice.
resilience.
Nice.
This is the year of resilience.
Yes, it
God,
is.
God is testing us, okay? And we are coming out of atonement. First of all, the era of atonement, where God judges or blesses His people. And I feel like, God just was like, listen, enough is enough. Let me show you what you've been doing. Now is the time. You're getting ready to see, before this new election, you're getting ready to see what your behavior has chosen, what your behavior as a country has decided as a leader, has decided as the lead. You've gotten away from me and chosen this as your leader. So let me show you exactly what he is, what this is. And not even we're not even pointing directly at Trump. We're pointing at all things that are representative of, in my opinion, that represent demonic behavior, a demonic nature, anything that is not of God. And I think that we started to worship things more, more of those things than Him, like reality television. We really started to make reality television. That's where you get this dumbass drag culture, cancel culture, re culture, all that dumbass shit. Um, we get that from reality television, all that evil shit. That's evil. And we started to really look at that as the norm, as the standard. We on our phones waiting to see who said what, who did. We know we can't get our face out the phone. We're
Mm.
waiting to see. And so what it did was it led us to put a reality star in the number one seat, the Oval Office, the leading position of power in the United States. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, there
Go
you
ahead.
go. God is testing He is testing to see how resilient we are. And if we will go back to Him, because a lot of times He'll put us through things on purpose. He break you down on purpose to come to Him. You know, and He wanted to show the social injustice, the way that we did Colin Kaepernick, the way that we did not listen to him, the way that
Right.
we demonized him for kneeling. Not we, because black people didn't, but the way that the NFL demonized him. The two things that have been impacted the most by COVID are sports and entertainment.
Yeah.
We can't perform. It's hard for us to be. You can't have a crowd. He took away the crowd. Took away your audience. Took away all these people that feed into narcissistic behavior, right? He took away that. That feeds into a narcissistic behavior. Then he took away sports. He took it away, and then it's back, but it's in such a way where it's, every 15 minutes, this person got COVID. They have to stop. They have to. So I feel like, oh, I don't know what they're doing outside. I feel like that this whole year, um, God is testing us. We're being tested. So resilience, persevere, press through. That would be my advice. Press through. Because we are all, regardless of what we've done or who we've been, we are all God's children.
Yeah.
He loves us all the same. No sin is way greater than the other. He loves Donald Trump. He loves us all. But he wants us to repent, and he wants us to change, and he wants us to do different, not because he says so, because so that we can live life and live it abundantly like he left for us. You know what I'm saying?
No,
He wants us
I
to
love
do
it.
better. You know what I'm
I
saying?
love it.
So that would be my advice. That's how I get through my little day-to-day life.
No, that's a beautiful. I want to take you back now. Now, I told you I had a spot. I want to take you back. I was talking to someone the other day. And I said, no, Syleena and I have history. We we kind of indirectly did some records together with Charmel Cofield, and I remember because this question is related to how you and Kanye West connected, but I want to take you back. I think it was 2003, maybe 2004, and you could probably tell me what event this was, but we were at an event, and at the end of the night, it was you, Alicia Keys, Jill Scott, Patti LaBelle, and myself, and the five of us were dancing at the end of the event. And I'm looking around. I said to myself, "Wow, look at the greatness that I'm surrounded by." And I remember you and Jill were enamored because Patti LaBelle kind of let her hair down, and she was embracing all three of you. And it was an amazing moment. I want to know, do you remember that night? And was that the night that you met Kanye West?
No, that is not the night I met Kanye West. I do remember that night. I believe it was Alicia Keys' event, and it may
Yes,
have been either her album release or her birthday. It was one
it
of
was
the two.
album release. Yep.
It was like an album release or one of the two. And I'll tell you, at that event, Patti LaBelle came up to me. That is the day that Patti LaBelle was sitting at the table with her son Zuri, and
Yes.
she came up to me, and I came up. No, I came up to her, and I told her. I sat at the table. I kind of kneeled down, because that's the queen. When you're young in the industry, you bow down. It's just that simple. That's how I was taught. And so I came up to her and I was just like, Miss Patty, I just want you to know, you're such a beacon of inspiration for me as a young woman in this industry. I just absolutely love you. Just telling her, I'm giving her flowers. I'm giving her praise. And she says, girl, you, Syleena, you are a singing cow. She told me I was a cow. And she said, that, guess what? So what? She said, that is my song. And so we started into this conversation, and I was telling her about, I was in transition. I didn't have management, and that's the day she introduced me to Zuri, and Zuri and Armstead, her ex-husband, started managing me.
Wow.
And that was the day that's when I started my journey with Patty and Zuri and Armstead. And then from then on, I would see her all the time, and Mama Patty, everybody know Patty, Miss Patty, But yeah, that was that day. And I
That
forgot
was a
that Jill was there. I forgot that Jill was there, but she sure enough was. And I remember us all dancing on the floor. I
yeah.
remember that.
That it was amazing. And I'm not a document the journey type of person. So after that, and I said, man, what a powerful picture and image that would have been just being surrounded by amazing black women. I thought it was amazing. I'm sitting there and I'm telling somebody, I don't remember. It was like the end of the night and no, it seemed like
Yeah, it was
nobody was
nobody
around.
was around. Like people were kind of dispersed, and we were just kind of jamming down to the floor. And you know what? We are in an age of, man, that picture would have been dope, but the op-
The moment,
the moment
that
is
mo-
even doper.
that
The
memory
moment
was
is
so
even
dope.
doper. Yeah, and it's
So
crazy because I had forgot that moment until you just brought it up again. I didn't
it,
real I remember it, but when you start talking about it, I start seeing Jill show was there, and it was Patty, and I remember all of that. I do remember that. I remember Alicia Keys vividly because I had a conversation with Alicia, but I forgot the rest except for the Patty situation. But I didn't remember to tie the two in, and that's where that happened. Look at
yeah,
God,
that's beautiful. The journey has been beautiful. Has
man.
there been a piece of advice that you were given that you could share with viewers and listeners that helped you along your trajectory to have the mentality and the focus that you have now?
Stay true to what you believe in. Don't ever sway from what you believe in, but be open to suggestion. You know what I'm saying? Because, there are going to be people that God will put on the path. Some will be guides, some will be setbacks. So you have to be in tune, and you have to be in alignment with the Holy Spirit so that you can discern which one is which. But I'll tell you something that Wayne Williams told me when I first signed to Jive Records, and Wayne is the senior vice president of Jive Records at the time.
That's my guy. That's my
Yeah,
guy.
and
Shout out to DJ Wayne Williams.
DJ Wayne Williams, and Wayne told me, I'm talking about the first day I met Wayne when I came into his office to be, he met me as a singer, to be signed, someone I was trying to get signed to Jive Records. He said to me, Syleena, I'll tell you one thing that's gonna that's going to follow you in this business forever. He said, what you do to people and how you are to people and how you behave to people will come back tenfold in this business. He says, so it's very important who you are and how you are in this industry. I remember him telling me that. And so for me, I always thought, keep my integrity. You know, in my mind, that was don't be down to the sleeping with everybody in this industry. And number two, be good to people. Then I was on my chapter two. Um, I did a record with Buster Rhymes and Flipmo Squad. And
Yep.
so Spliff, I was talking to Spliff on the side. We just waiting. And a waitress came over because we was in a club, and so we was getting drinks because the shoot was in a club, and she was rude and ignorant to Spliff. And I remember him like kind of nicely checking her or whatever. But I remember he looked at me and he said, Syleena, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. And
Mm,
that stuck with me forever. So, again, I've had some really dope people in my life, but I've been able to get the dopest thing out of them because I demand it. I'm gonna say that
I
again
love it.
for
I
for the
love it.
women. For the women, I've been able to get the best parts out of men in my life because I demand them, because I ask for them, and because of how I present myself to them. If I present myself in another way, I'm gonna get the worst of them. Now, sometimes you're gonna get the worst of them no matter what because they just bullshit people. But if you come in the door demanding and expecting greatness, that's what you're gonna get. You expect and demand anything else, that's what you're gonna
Listen, I appreciate you. For those who are watching and listening, you heard it here. Resilience is the word to use moving forward as we get ready to wrap the rest of this year up. Be good to someone, be kind to someone. It
get. Yeah,
comes back 100-fold.
a
And stay true to
hundredfold.
yourself. Find your passion, find your purpose, and that is where it will lead you to your blessing. Don't block your blessing trying to figure out why this person's getting it, you're not getting it, or you trying to look for the bag and you can't get the bag. Your dreams are your dreams and your blessings are yours. You are here for a reason. Once you find that reason, Syleena told you, you dive
Sky's the
in
limit. Sky's
wholeheartedly,
the
being
limit.
yourself. That's it.
Yeah.
Syleena, thank you so much. I appreciate you for listen for everything and just being as transparent as you could be. I look forward to dancing with you again
Yes. When
sometime
people can
soon.
be next to each other.
When we can be next to each other, I'm gonna get you and your husband out of the house, and me and my
Yeah.
wife, and we're gonna get together, and all
We
four
can
of us
turn
gonna
up.
dance.
Yeah.
We,
Because this is a
no,
fool. This mass foolishness is outrageous.
hey, listen, it is what it is. It's our new norm for the moment because I'm
Yeah.
not gonna accept it because that's just not what I'm gonna do. Because I
Yeah.
know we were put here to love on each other, hug on each other, because that's what we're supposed to be doing as human beings.
Yeah.
New album is out, documentary is out, The
Yeah.
Makings of a Woman is out. That's right, one word title from here on out.
That's
She's gonna
right.
be dropping them. Syleena, thank you so much for joining the show. This is your boy June Arthur here for the Winner Circle. Motivate you here on This Is 50.com.